thank you for tuning in to the Toledo Track Trail Podcast, where co-hosts Matt Bucher and Marty Wheeler interview motocross and off-road racing and riding icons to capture their stories and experiences for you. So buckle up those helmets, grab a handful of throttle, and get ready to listen to the Toledo Track Trail Podcast. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us. This is season number 2, episode 4 of the Toledo Track Trail Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Bucher, joined by my co-host, Marty Wheeler, and our favorite audio-visual man, Mr. AJ Underwood. If you're watching us on YouTube, please do not forget to hit that subscribe button. We, again, thank you from all over the world giving us a listen. Marty, we have a sponsor. Did you know that?
No. What sponsor do you have now? Yeah,
it's this little dealership. I shouldn't say little. Fairly good-sized dealership located in Wasion, Ohio. I'm not sure if you ever... Championship
yes.
Power Sports. So we want to thank Championship for coming on board as a sponsor here for the next couple episodes. So thank you, Jim, for stepping up on that. If you give them a call at 419-335-8600, ask for Jim Durvage and mention the promo code Toledo Podcast, he has some kind of special deal hooked up for you listeners. So give him a buzz and mention Toledo Podcast again. So appreciate that very much. You can also, forgot to mention, you can check them out on their website, championshippowersports.com. Today, we are honored to be joined by a professional off-road racer known all over the world. Our guest has amassed an astounding 34 International Six Days Enduro races, finishing a record 33 of them. Known as Mr.ISDE, Mr. 6 Days, Mr.KDX, our guest is none other than Beecher, Illinois' Mr. Jeff Fredette. Welcome, Jeff, to the Toledo Track and Trail Podcast. How you doing, sir?
Doing fine. Thanks for having us on this great day of snow we had today.
The Snowmageddon, as it's around here, January 16th, I think, or I'm sorry, February 16th, 2021. We've been digging out. Marty's been plowing all day, and it's been a lot of fun dealing with a foot of snow. So, but anyway, we thank you for coming on board. And is this your first podcast by chance?
Yes, I'm a rookie here.
You're a rookie. All right, we'll go easy on you.
Yep.
Right. Not like you did your competition. You didn't go easy on them. But no, we always appreciate it. And Jeff, I've known Jeff for a long time, and I guess I'll start this episode off with a little bit of a story. And I remember it was in the mid-'90s. We were doing the GNCCs, and I remember Randy Maston and you and him were talking at GNCC, I think down in Florida or something. And it was the first time I got to meet Jeff, and I was like, "Wow, that's Jeff Fredette." And he's like the nicest guy ever. So I appreciate you kind of making an early presence in my young life, as far as an influence on me, as well as being a hero to me in the off-road racing. So I'm sure that's not the first time you've heard that in your lifetime, but you were a rock star in my eyes, and getting to kind of hang out and do stuff with you, that was a lot of fun.
And we're still hanging out.
Virtually, but we're hanging out, right?
Yeah, no masks involved.
Yeah, exactly. And Marty and I are exactly 6 feet 2 inches away, so we're plenty. We're good.
That's perfect. And you're even not looking at each other, so you're safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not even. We're about 20 feet away from AJ. So
yeah,
really
AJ's far away, so we're good. We're good with him. But
there we go.
So let's start off. We try to kind of go in order of your kind of younger years, and I was reading on your website, which is Fredette Racing Products, correct? .com.
FRPoffroad.com.
Okay, I wasn't even close. I apologize. But I was snooping around on the website, and Marty, Jeff's statistics for all of his racing and things, you had to scroll down and down and down the page. It was like a laundry list of all the things. And it wasn't just like, finish second at the local hare scramble. It was like championships. But the first thing that struck out to me was you didn't exactly do well your very first race. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Yes. And I wonder, how did did that have any kind of bearing on you long term, or did that light a fire in you to try again, or what was that like, your first time out on a bike?
Well, the first real race I did was on I think it was a 67 Ace 90 Hodaka. And, you know, back then things were, you know, you made do with what you had. And the first race I did, I think, was a trials. And my dad, we didn't have a clutch cable that was long enough to go to the right spot. So it was on the throttle side. So I was riding the trials with the throttle and clutch all on the right-hand side.
What could possibly go wrong with that?
Well, not much when you're trying to learn how to ride.
Oh my gosh. So where was this at? Was this in Illinois somewhere?
Yeah, it was in Illinois. It was, you know, back then they had trials, you know, everywhere. So, you know, they figured that was a nice, safe place to learn how to ride.
Nice. And was both your parents into racing or riding, or was it just your dad, or how did you get kind of started?
I know. No, it was a whole family deal.
Okay.
It was a whole family deal. I got I put it up on a YouTube thing or a Facebook thing a while back, where we went to Georgia in a Volkswagen Bug, 5 of us with the motorcycle on the back, to Stone Mountain, Georgia.
Now that'd be a great picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you have the picture?
Yeah, it's on my Facebook page somewhere.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna creep your page, and I'm gonna get it, and I'll throw it up on the podcast.
That's gotta be.
I'll have to find it again, and I'll look for it and send it to you.
Yeah, please do, because we'll throw it up there.
It was a complete family ordeal every time. You know, I mean, you know, Dad was working, Mom would have everything cleaned up, packed up, ready to go for the next one.
So was it primarily off-road that you were kind of starting off? Did you do motocross, or how did you get going?
It was mostly just, you know, I mean, we always chased my dad around the enduros and stuff. And, you know, when you're young, you can't do any of that stuff because, you don't have a motorcycle back then. You just had a little pull start mini bike. You know, so you just went to the races and got, you know, you got the taste of it. And then when I got that Ace 90 hand me down from my dad, and, you know, you start going to more races and stuff, and, you know, they were all just Illinois stuff, and, you know, egg hunts and trials. And then I bought a Superette Hodaka, and I thought, man, this is going to be the great thing, you know. So went and did one motocross, and my mom says, nope, you're not doing that no more. So now I got this motocross bike. So would turn it into a trials bike. So we took the Ace 90 or Superette and found some old Bultaca parts, and it actually sounded like a trials bike. You know, it did that pop, 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 you know, like the popcorn poppers they got, and moved the brake, you know, the foot pegs around and the brake pedals and shifters, and I rode trials on a Superette.
Cool. So no motocross. Mom said no.
No, Mom said no. Yep, none of that.
Marty, cover your ears. Marty's got to cover his ears, because actually Marty's a diehard off-roader at heart. But him and AJ and the whole Wheeler family, they operate a motocross track here in town. Actually, you could throw a rock at the Toledo Express Airport. You probably have driven by as you've come, you know, into Toledo here and there, but MX Express there. So cover your ears, Marty, on that. But no, I was kind of we did a lot of motocross as kids and stuff, and then, you know, as a kid, and then we kind of migrated to the off-road. Thanks to Randy Maston. Honestly, he was the one that kind of roped my dad and I along, and best thing that could have happened to us for sure. But at what point did you start kind of getting real good? I mean, was it in your teenage years, you know, kind of later? I know you went to the 6 days pretty young. Weren't you 16 at your first one?
No, I was 20.
20. Okay.
I didn't go till 78. So I think I was 20, 21, something like that. But I started, you know, doing all the local stuff locally, and I think it was about 70, 75, 76, I tried it. I dabbled in a few national enduros and stuff that were close. And then I started hanging around with Ron Rabolzi, and we ventured farther and farther away from here. And in 77, I was riding a Penton, and we went out to, I think it was Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And, it was like you meeting me for the first time. We were going to this national, and all these people you read in the magazines back then are there. It's like, holy cow, this is like big time. And, I was just some punk from Illinois. And so I rode that thing, and I ended up winning. I won the overall on a 77 Penton back in 1977. And nobody knew who the heck this guy was. And they were looking for Bob Fredette. It was even in the cycle news, Bob Fredette from Tinley Park, and they knew. So it was pretty cool. And then after that, then it's like I got all these Penton things, the old famous orange Penton jacket and stuff, and it's just like, and then after that, I just started going to, I started going a lot more races then at that point.
Did they call you Bob Fredette because they misplaced or misspelled your name or whatever, or was it a kinship to Bob Hanna, who kind of came on the scene kind of the same way, right? Who's this Bob Hanna guy?
Yeah, I don't know how that all transpired and stuff, but it was kind of funny that it was I was just nobody, it was just like I just went to this big race and got lucky, I guess.
Did you, I can't even fathom, showing up at a national and beating your heroes. Explain that car ride home. Was that just like the most insane ride home ever from a race?
It was, now things, it seems like everything's so, vivid and, big to do and stuff, but, back then you just went there because you like riding motorcycles, and you went and rode, and, it's like you won. It's like, cool. It wasn't a big fanfare like there is now, at least for me. It was one of those things where it was just like, we're doing what we're doing and having fun doing it.
Yeah, because I think you're right. Because I think if that happened now, Marty, I think certainly social media would go nuts. If you had a known, I don't want to say no name, Jeff, no offense, but kind of a local, if you will, going and beating, Caleb Russell or, Ryder Lafferty or the Baylor brothers or something like that at a national. Like I can't even fathom.
It would be huge, and so that there turned into local support from a local dealer through KTM the following year in 78, and then after that it just took off every year. Just
who was that dealer,
Jeff?
What dealer sponsored you?
It was Dirt and Road out of Oak Lawn, Illinois.
Are they still around? Are they?
Oh no, they've been out of business almost since 80.
They went out of business with the Pentons, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, is that so? So what year was it that you started chasing the nationals, like every national, or didn't you? Did you chase every one, like in for a championship?
No, back in 78. We were just 78 with the KTM new clan and stuff. With the I rode I was always a little bit ahead of all the cool stuff. KTM was, they weren't really that organized back in 78, and I went to as many nationals back then as I could. Back then it wasn't, it wasn't like now. It's like, oh, you got to go to this, you got to go to that. Back then we did what we could afford,
right?
And what we could get to and get back and go to work the next day. It's completely different now compared to what it was back then. Everybody had jobs, and we went and did these motorcycle races.
Right, because all the racers, like you said, they worked Monday through Friday, maybe at a shop, or they did something else, and then they geared up. Friday night you headed out to the to the enduro or wherever you're headed, and then back again Monday morning.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember going down to Stone Mountain National Enduro and get done racing that thing and drive straight home and be home for work on Monday. That's what we did. Now it's completely different. I mean, these guys, got a career. They make a living doing that stuff, and that's all they got to worry about is being in top form. And back then, I mean, it was an amateur event. That's what we did. And you did whatever you could.
Well, I think you could probably pat yourself on the back a little bit, and the guys now and gals could probably thank you, in your generation for really kind of paving the way, if you will, and doing the hard work and doing it the hard way. And not that they don't have it easy now, right? But I mean, you certainly had it. The money wasn't there. Now there's some money. I remember when we started running the national enduros, I think Lafferty and Hawkins were the only guys making money, if I remember right. That was about it. But now it's like they're paying out. What would you say, Jeff? Probably the top 10 national enduro guys, or top 15, or maybe that's actually their career.
Yeah, I've since I quit racing in 14. I mean, I don't really follow that much of it. I know that I meet all these guys at 6 days and stuff. You know what I mean? If there's 15 of them maybe making they got to be making money, because otherwise they wouldn't be training during the week.
Right.
A lot of these guys train. That's all they do. Drive from race to race and train for the races and stuff.
So I'm just picturing back. He's coming to the races in a Volkswagen, packed in there with a bike strapped on the back. And then today you see a $450,000 motorhome pulling another $20,000 trailer behind him with about 4 bikes and all the tools. Totally changed. Totally a different way of racing.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's definitely evolved. And I mean, this is kind of going to go forward in your timeline here, but in I think it was about 93 or something. I think it was about 93, somewhere around there. I built a Ford van on an aerocell that ramp like fiberglass thing.
I remember that van.
And I went out to Best in the West out in Vegas for one of those Best in the West series. And the magazine guys are like, it's like, hey, you can just bunk up in our room. I go, no, that's okay. I'll go sleep in the truck. It'll be fine. And the next day they came out and they go, well, this isn't your normal truck, and that was kind of like the start of the fun movers and stuff, because it was a shop in the back and a motorhome in the front. And I mean, it's like I had a vision to build something like that. And it nowadays, that would be a rinky dink ordeal, which was huge compared to the Volkswagen Bug, and the Dodge van days, and nowadays, like you say, I mean, they're in full on semis and super duper fancy motorhomes and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's the times. I mean, everything, keeps stepping up.
I remember, speaking of that Ford van, and I think you had the Kawasaki Team Green, the purple and the green stickers or decals down the side of it, because go ahead.
On the side, yep. Yeah, the little wispy swish thing on the side.
Yes, I remember that van because Dad and I were heading to Bike Week. I don't remember what year, and I don't even know if I had my license. Matter of fact, I think I might have been 14 years old, 15, somewhere around there. And all of a sudden, it's night, 75 south, and my dad goes, I think Fredette's coming up behind us. And all of a sudden, you blew by, you were on the horn, waving and stuff. I don't know if you remember that or not, but it was like a race to get the Bike Week, and then in box fans. You know what I mean? You're in box fans racing, 80, I mean, we were doing the speed limit, Marty. I mean, for sure. We were not breaking the speed limit, but
Somebody was.
My
you.
speedometer said I was doing the speed limit too.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. You might have been going 5 over, maybe.
European speed limit.
Yeah.
Canadian.
Yeah, wide open, I think. But no, I just remember that as a kid being so excited going down there and watching Jeff blow by us down I-75 South. I don't know why. It's just a great memory, but it was cool. Let's jump into the 6 days, because we're kind of going from national enduros. What year was your first ISDE? For those that aren't familiar with it, the 6 days is the International 6 Days Enduro, which is held in a different country every year. And Jeff has I believe it's the record still to this day, the most, you've been in it the most of anybody in the world. Is that right, Jeff?
Well, actually, I've got the most finishes, but there's a Juan Masso from Spain. It's I think he's gone to 35, 36, 37, something like that. He just keeps going, but he doesn't have as many finishes.
Well, it's not on Google, so we're not going to count it tonight. But
well, we can go back to the Wikipedia thing, and AJ says that's no good.
Anyway, so. It was not on Wikipedia, so it doesn't count, Jeff. Doesn't okay, count. It doesn't count.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. But it's on Off-Road Champion. I think it's on Off-Road Championships website.
Okay. Yep. I used to go on there frequently.
Right.
What year was your first one?
78. That was the first year that I was getting help from KTM.
Okay. So 1978, you got to do qualifiers, right? Just so everybody knows, you have to qualify to go. You can't just say I'm on the team.
Right.
Were you on, so you were 20, so you weren't on the junior team, right? Or were you?
There was no junior team back then.
There was no.
Back then it was called the ISDT, which is the International 6 Days Trials. And there was the World Trophy, and then the Silver Vase was the only two real teams other than club teams. Right.
Which one were you on?
Club team.
Club team. Okay. So
yep.
Go through a little bit of that, because that's your first one, and you did well. Is that accurate according to your website?
Yeah. Basically, we, the first year we did it, I had gone to the Michigan qualifiers back in 76, 75, something like that. But it was the only qualifier that I really went to, just to kind of get my feet wet. And then, you're going up against, just kind of like 77 when you went to the National Enduro. You're going up against all these guys that have been doing this for a while. They all got, factory, manufacturer support, or whatever you want to call it. It's like, okay, well, let's see what we can do on the big stage. And I ended up qualifying the first year, which turned into a pretty good deal, because, it's like I was working, but at the same time, the boss was pretty lenient, and we were able to go over, they were looking for a crew to go over and actually build the bikes at the Austria KTM factory then. So we went over, prior to the event to Austria, and built, all the KTM teams, and it was pretty cool, because like I can remember, I think it was Carl Crank, and there was engines with people's names on them.
Oh, really?
Going in bike. Yeah, it was pretty cool. It's like, they had the dyno room there, and I don't remember all the people that were with us at that time, but, have a motor with your name on it. It's just like, whoa, these guys are, I want to get like those guys,
that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah. Coming off the dyno and know you're going to have like the best motor that came off that assembly line for a while was pretty cool to see.
Where was it at in 78?
Sweden.
Oh, Sweden. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So we built all those bikes, and then there was two Volkswagen microbuses that we went to the race with. They loaded all of the bikes that we built, along with all the other KTMs that were going to the event. And from there, we took microbuses from Austria all the way up to Sweden.
Cool.
Which there was probably about 8 of us, I think, in those 2 microbuses.
You can't get away from the Volkswagens, can you? Yeah. Yeah.
You're, right there, you're close to where they make them.
Right. Yeah. You're
over there.
You're right. You're right. You're right on top of it. So you go to,
exactly.
You're in Sweden. It's your first event. What's your mental state? Are you nervous? Just kind of go with the flow, kind of see how you do, not sure.
It's kind of like the same stuff. I mean, nowadays with the 6 days, I send out a letter, kind of like a step-by-step what to expect when you go into 6 days for the rookies and stuff and the people that make the team and stuff. And the biggest thing I've learned is just listen to everything that's going on. Listen to, there's this nasty spot or, you take everything with a grain of salt, but you put it all in the library, and if you need to pull it out, you got it. You've heard about it already, so you kind of know what to expect. Being with the KTM team, it was really cool. We were with the Paisekis in the cabin that we were at, which are local guys for you guys.
Yeah, they're on our list to talk to.
There you go. Well,
yep,
they're leading into them for you. We were right at the it was a Western Dude Ranch. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was kind of like an amusement park, for locals from Sweden to go to see what a Western Dude Ranch would be like, I guess, in Sweden terminology. And the KTM guys from the States here, I mean, they had us, we had a cabin. We walked to the start every day. It was pretty cool.
Cool. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So Park Fermé was close? I mean,
I mean, we walked to it. I mean, we were there. I mean, it was nothing. It was easy to get to.
Yeah, and Park Fermé, just for those that don't know, Park Fermé is kind of where the bikes are impounded, the main pits are, kind of where all the action happens, and there's definitely some interesting things that happen at Park Fermé. But yeah, it's so your first one, how'd you end up in Sweden?
As far as number wise goes, I do remember I was the sixth fastest American. I know that. I can remember that because I was sixth for quite a few years, or in the top 6, and in my theory, it's like, well, I should be on the trophy team because, the 6 fastest guys are on the trophy team. So, that was always a goal back then. I always tried to, you like anything, you try to beat whoever's supposedly faster than you. So
sure.
And that's what that's my whole mindset behind that, the 6 day stuff. And it goes into the, 6 days I always liked. Goes back to the Volkswagen Bug. When on any Sunday came out, the family loaded up the Volkswagen Bug and we went to the drive-in to watch on any Sunday with Malcolm Smith and all that stuff. So it was pretty, back to the Volkswagen Bug thing. And I seen that race and it's just like, that 6 day stuff, that's something I want to do, and because it's more than just speed, it's endurance, it's mechanics and all that stuff. And it's all stuff that I like doing, I mean, I I'm good at keeping stuff running.
That's obvious to anybody that knows anything about off-road because, to enter 34 and to finish 33 of them, that's just phenomenal. Me personally, I entered 2, and well, if you depending on we'll look at it, I basically didn't finish either one of them, and mechanical failure both. But I mean, just to, especially back in your early days, the bikes weren't that great. I mean, I remember Randy telling us stories that he hit a bridge and bent the forks. You're done. I mean, you just one little minute thing. And you're done, and you were able to stay out of trouble, if you will. Did you have any? I know the last one, you weren't able to complete, but I mean, was there any that you were kind of like hanging in the balance of man, I don't know if I can make this happen?
No, there was quite a few of them. there was quite a few of them. I think it was 93. I think we were in Holland again. 93, 90. Pretty sure it was 93, 94, something like that. We were in Holland, and my bike was going away. I mean, I was sucking dirt through it somehow or whatever. I mean, it was just a mud fest. I mean, just that silicone, that sandy, goopy stuff that was just wearing stuff out crazy fast. And, after the end of day one, you were late, you coming into the checks late. And at the end of the day, you come in at the end of the day and go, I'm 8 minutes down. I feel pretty good. There's hardly any bikes in the impound. And, a lot of people dropped out. And that year they actually let anybody that was in the event that houred out or DNF'd the first day, if their bike was in by midnight, they were able to start the race again.
Really?
It was very, very weird. It was a crazy deal, and I mean, so a lot of people were back in the event, even though they houred out or didn't finish the day or whatever, they were back in the event. And it's the second day, at the end of the second day, it's like, I gotta do a top end on this bike, and did a top end. The next day, the bike ran like crap. I had the whole top end already prepped, ready to go right on the bike and stuff. And finally, about halfway around the day on the third day, I figured out that I didn't have any reeds in the reed block. I had prepped it at home and, between phone calls and work and stuff. So the bike only ran like one speed all day, and came very close to houring out. I was like 45 minutes late the first loop, and there was another loop to go. And about the last 2 or 3 checks on that loop, I came in early. It's like, well, I got to start getting early. I mean, I guess I start making up some time because I'm going to be 45 more minutes the next time around. And so I went back to almost on time after the first loop. And then I got all late again, another 45 minutes. Got back up tight, to back on time. And then I spent 50 minutes working on my bike again, replacing everything, chains, sprockets, brakes and everything. And the next day they had me as DNF. And I was like, I didn't DNF.
Right.
I did everything to stay within my hour. And they looked it all up. I mean, I would have lost less points if I would have just quit. But they seen it as like I did an hour out. So, I mean, that was a very, very close call as to, having some willpower to keep trudging forward instead of just throwing the towel in.
And what bike were you on then, Jeff?
That was a KDX.
KDX?
KDX air cooled or water cooled, like 93. I think it was a 93, 94. I think 6 days in 94 was in the United States, so it was maybe 93.
Was that a 250 or 200?
200.
200.
KDX 200.
Okay.
Yep.
We want to thank Championship Power Sports for sponsoring this episode.
They carry Honda, KTM, Husqvarna, Beta, and now the newest on the market, GasGas.
Marty, how do you find them?
Got to call Jim at 419-335-8600 and mention promo code Toledo Podcast for your special discount.
Explain to the audience just a second what it means to stay in your hour. I mean, for the lay person that doesn't have an understanding of how the 6 days works. Give the audience just a general overview of the event.
Well, it's houred out. I mean, it's like an enduro where you hour out. You become over an hour late and you get, excluded in the event. And the same thing at the 6 days. I mean, you've got that hour cushion that you can come up. You get lost or you have a mechanical or something like that. You get a full hour before you're actually, X'd out of the race.
Right. And you, just so the audience knows, you being the racer, have to do all this work yourself. You're top end, changing tires every day. I had the unfortunate task of trying to learn how to do a valve job on a Honda CR 250X. Never did a valve job before in my life. Didn't work, but that was a 94, and you in your mind you got 1 hour to make this happen, and that's it. Right. So go ahead.
That's one of those things where the new days, the new age, now it's only a half hour.
It is. I did not know they changed that. Okay.
Yeah, you only got a half hour out.
Holy smokes.
Right.
Why do you think they did that?
Well, a lot of it I think is because of the loop races that they run when they, years ago it used to be, 100 150 to 220 miles, one loop, where now it's one loop that they run twice a day. And if you took into account that some of these, the back markers and stuff, if they get close to an hour out, they're getting run into from the people on the second loop.
Right.
So, that's why I think they cut it down to a half hour only for those kind of instances.
Gotcha. So that I guess that makes sense. So they're already catching up to the, to the end of they're catching up to the tail at that point. But,
right.
Well, that makes sense. Bonnie Ott, she had message on Facebook. I posted on there today, like ask Jeff anything. And I got to throw this out here because I had it on my sheet. What was your favorite country to visit in all the 34 that you did?
I would say Australia. The first year we went to Australia, I got a whole wall sitting right out here with the dates on it, what year and what country I was at. And, but I don't remember exactly what year we were there.
98?
The first time. Yeah, I don't remember.
I think there was a 6 days in 98 because 97 was Italy.
98 Australia.
We got to go
one before 98 though.
I don't know.
92.
92.
There you go. Is that
92. I told you I got a wall and a really techno kid out there. He can tell me anything I need to know.
Ask him if he used Wikipedia.
He used the wall.
Oh, the wall. Okay. Well, there you go.
He used the wall. I got all my 6-day helmets are up on a wall with the helmets and the number plates.
Okay,
that
makes sense.
It's got the year and the countries that. So yeah, just look it up on the wall. We don't need no Wikipedia.
You don't need that. You don't need that internet crap. Just look up.
We don't even know. You don't even need electricity other than the light to light up the wall.
Who is your another question for you, Jeff? Just random here, but who is your most fierce competitor, like in championships and national enduros, or maybe hair scrambles? Who is the guy like you just had to beat? You woke up at 2 a.m. thinking, oh my gosh, I gotta take this guy down this weekend.
Well, there was a whole bunch of those over the years. I mean, it's like, working all day and going to races and stuff, there was a lot, even back then, I mean, there was some guys that were, worked for the factory or whatever. They got the ride all the time. Johnny Martin was one of those guys when he come to Illinois for the off-road championship race. He was the guy that I had to watch out for. I mean, him and we battled so many times at the Illinois off-road championship race. It was that was one of those guys that, I had to try to beat in a particular race year after year after year.
Was that the Moose run, or was it before that?
Well, it was there was the evolution again. It was the Illinois Off-Road Championship race, which started, I think, about 76, I think it was their first one they had. And then, like everything, you got sponsors and stuff, that's where it came into the Moose run and grew from there.
Because you won the Moose, you won the Moose run like a boatload of times, didn't you?
Yeah, Johnny and I we're like tied at like 6 or 7 apiece.
Gotcha. Do they still do the Moose run? Is that part of a series now? I guess it's not ringing a bell to me.
Well, I think they lost. There again, you things change, and I think they lost the sponsorship on that there, and I think I don't know what they call it now, to be honest with you. But they still run it.
Do they? Okay. I know.
It's part of that OMA series.
Oh yes, the Bill Gussie. I think that's his series. Yeah. Yep.
Exactly.
Those can be some pretty gnarly races. I remember racing a few of them.
Oh yeah,
Nick Farringer, we're trying to get him on the podcast here pretty soon, and I think he won a boatload of those Moose runs too.
He's been winning on quite a few of them here lately.
As far as kind of getting back to to the 6 days, was there a favorite memory from, you mentioned Australia, but what about Australia? Let's kind of pack into or dive into that a little bit. Was it the food, the ambiance, just it certainly couldn't have been the plane ride, because that's like, a 2-day deal just to get there.
It's just 2 sleeping pills.
Just 2?
Just 2.
But what about Australia?
I woke up after the first one. They were serving ice cream. It was perfect. I took another one and woke up at the airport. It was great. But no, I mean, the event itself, was what made it. It was one of those things where, the locals were into it. It was a real happening thing. And usually when you go to a race, 6 days, you get basically the same terrain 6 days in a row. And that place, it just had a good variety from day to day of 3 different areas, regions or whatever, that were completely different. Like you got into different soils and that stuff, every other day. Because, back then you ride the same day twice. So basically there was 3 long loops and stuff. And the people were really friendly. It was like stepping back in the United States, like back in the 60s. One of the guys that was from Michigan, I can't remember. I want to say it was Kenny Brown, from Michigan. He got really, really hurt the first or second day. And, some people seen it on the TV, and they just took his mom and dad in, like they were relatives, and they stayed right there real close to the hospital so he could be with them and that, and not have to commute back and forth. It was so friendly down there. It was really a cool experience in that respect.
And you've been there one time? You raced there once?
Twice we raced in Australia. The second time, it wasn't the, nice, warm, hearty, that was back in, I guess, 98, because that's what Eric said was when we were Australia again. It was nice, but it was nothing like the memories from the first one. And be honest with you, 6 days anymore, it's getting to be less and less that cool, everybody in the region's into it, type thing. It's, more and more we just go over and we race. It isn't much different than going to, Ohio or, anywhere, here in the States and doing a race and nobody really knows what's going on.
That was the one I've been to 4 of them. I spectated 2, raced in 2. And that was the one thing that, kind of, the race itself is a week long. You have the week before to prepare for the thing, get your bike ready. Hopefully it makes it there in time, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
That's a whole nother podcast talking about sweat and bullets on that.
Bag of worms.
Yeah, but the actual sightseeing part, you don't really get. At least we didn't. You're talking about 2 weeks. You're gone for a motorcycle race, and then by the time you're leaving work, and at least, for us club guys, it's like you can't be gone a month.
Right.
That was the one thing I was kind of like when we went to Italy and even Finland. Those were awesome trips, but just not being able to see a whole lot. We went to Poland, we wanted to see some more things, but there's not enough time. In your 6 days travels, did you ever see anything kind of cool that maybe stuck out to you?
Well, I got a saying that, it's like everybody goes, "Oh, you've been to this country, been to that country." I go, "Yeah, it's like, it's like you get the fancy looking postcard with the Eiffel Tower on it, and flip it over. That's what we get to see." It's not a spectator tour or anything like that. The most fun I've had at 6 days, like sightseeing and stuff, is when I stayed over, a couple extra days and seen another part of the country and stuff. That's the only way you get to do it when you're out of the mood. You don't do it ahead of time before the race starts, because you're wrapped up in the race. You want to go check out where you're going to go, or if you do it afterwards, you got a lot better, nothing's on your plate then.
Right. Yeah. You got the pressures off at that point. The bike's heading out of there, and you can go sightseeing. We just never got the opportunity to do that, or never made the opportunity, but maybe someday down the road. But what do you think has been the catalyst to have now Team USA being, successful at the 6 days? What do you contribute to that? Is it one thing that stands out in your mind, or is it a multitude of things? Or because we've won it, and it sounds like we got a pretty, continuously a solid team, at least a trophy team. What's your thoughts on that, Jeff?
Well, there's a lot of stuff involved with that. I mean, there's a lot. But one of the big things that helped us out a lot, I mean, we were building a 6-man team, trying to get a really fast 6-man team. And we were, with the KTM involvement with it, I mean, we were able to, they were able to, pull in riders that were really, really fast. And about the time we get 6 fast guys, they cut it down to a 4-man team. So when they did that, it's like we could, we had fast guys. We could have had 2 trophy teams. I mean, that's how much, we've got a lot of depth now with a lot of fast guys. So I mean, with KTM getting involved and doing a commitment for, I think they started with a 3-year plan. It went over a couple years to get to get the mission accomplished and stuff, but they did, and the first time there in I think we won in Spain.
Yep. 16.
When we won there, I mean, there wasn't a dry eye in the crowd, I mean, it was something, we worked for forever to accomplish, and that happened. I mean, it was really cool to be there for.
So out of the 34 races, it sounds like you run 2 different models of bikes.
Pretty much, 3 makes basically. I ran the KTM at the first one, and then Suzuki's, the P's in the Suzuki days, from 79 to 81, 82. I didn't go to 6 days. I had a knee injury, and then 83 on, it was all Kawasaki's.
Which did you like the best?
Whichever one was underneath me.
Or, well, let's say, which one were you more comfortable on?
All of them. I mean, all of them, because, you spend time on a motorcycle and you get to know the bike, you get to hear things, you know what's going on with it before, as it's happening, and you know what you get to feel when something mechanical is starting to go bad, and you know what to do to fix it. Whether you back off just a little bit to make it through the day or get to the parts that you need to fix it. I mean, that's the big key to a lot of less problems, I would say. I can remember in I think we were in Holland. It was that wet one. I think it was the 93 or 94 one when we were in Holland. It was super, super wet, and I went by one of the guys that were renting a bike, and they go, "This bike sucks." It's like, you gotta love that bike, I mean, if you're not having fun on your bike, you're not having fun at the event. You're not having fun, period.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just depletes your sales. I mean, you haven't gotten to a drive because you're not liking what you're riding.
What are you riding now?
Not too much. I got a KX 250F yet that I can still kick and go. It's about the only thing. I got a whole bunch of bikes in the barn, but that's about the only thing that runs. I'm looking out the window here. I got a 252 stroke KX, and that's going to a 3-hour ice race this weekend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because Jeff does, well, you're known as Mr.KDX. I mean, you got all these acronyms attached to you, but when did the Mr.KDX thing kind of come into play? Who came up with that?
I don't know where a lot of this stuff comes from. I don't.
Wikipedia, I think.
Sky,
Wikipedia.
I guess.
Yeah. But you,
where I'm going this weekend, they call me the ice god because I don't know why. I just, I've been doing ice so long. I lay out about a 6.5 to 7.5 mile track on the ice, and so far they've got over 120 entries already for this 3-hour ice race for this weekend. So,
wow,
that's not even the walk up yet. So
is that up
be a pretty good event.
Is that up your way somewhere?
Event. Yeah, it's just north of Milwaukee.
Okay.
It's about 3 hours from where I live and stuff. So,
because you've done, when I think of what you've done and still do, I think, a lot of comparisons to like a Ryan Sipes. Now I know more Ryan is more motocross, but you do the vintage motocross down at Mid-Ohio, or did before COVID. And then you do the ice racing, you've done enduros, trials, and you seem to, have a knack of basically winning everything, at all disciplines. I mean, what do you, contribute to that? I mean, is it just your fierceness of being on the bike? Is it a desire thing, a technique thing, or just you have the knack to get on a bike and wherever you're racing, you can pretty much do well at?
It's adapt. It's adapt. I mean, you got to adapt to whatever you're going to be doing. I mean, I rode a hill climb. I went through a hill climb, years and years ago back on a trials bike. It's like, these guys are going about this hill stuff all the wrong way. They just attack it at full speed and flip over backwards. It's like, that's going to hurt. So I went to a hill climb and with a trials bike, and I just rode the bike over the top. It was a 125 Honda, just rode right over the top. It's just like, it's just a hill, what I mean? It was like a 500 was the next smallest bike, that made it over the top of the hill, but everybody was flipping over backwards. It's like, you got to pick a line, it's pretty, I thought it was pretty easy. Nowadays, the hill climbs are just like a drag race up a hill with some bumps in them. It looks like, everybody looks like they pretty much make it over the top. But,
right.
Back then it was just a hill, that they hoped you did make it over the top.
You guys have is it Cahokia Creek? Isn't there a hill climb there?
Yeah, there's a real famous hill climb down there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because there was District 17 and 15 enduros there for a while, and I think they did a District 14 enduro there. I remember racing there.
Yeah, they still do the District 17 enduro there. They got to be up to 60, 65 by now.
Wow, that's a long time. And you're part of the Grand Cank. How do I say that, Jeff?
Yeah, Grand Kankakee Trail Riders.
Yeah, say that 5 times fast. I can't even say it once fast or normal speed.
Right.
But you're part of that club, and you guys do the first generally annual enduro of the year, District 14 over in Roselawn, Indiana. That's one of my favorite enduros, for sure. I used to love riding through that house. Remember the house on the field just to the north of the property there? But
yep.
There's
a lot of people that didn't like going through that house.
No, really?
Yeah, they didn't like that house at all.
I don't know. I just thought it was like you're riding down the trail and all of a sudden you got to go through a house.
Right through the front door, yeah, the back. Huh?
Now, I did not stop and make a sandwich or get a hot cup of coffee or something, but I kind of barrel.
Great checkpoint.
It was.
The kitchen would be the checkpoint.
Well, remember, Jeff, sometimes they would put the check on either side of the house.
The checkpoint. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The end check was right after the house, so you're, I don't know how many times you see guys wipe out in front of you in the kitchen, and,
you can't do nothing about it.
No. And you're just, the exhaust. I just remember one time I was on my YZ and there was somebody, fell down or something trying to get out of the house. Yeah. Making a pit stop or something. And the whole house is just filling up with two stroke smoke. And I was like,
right.
Normally you'd be like, all right, this is great. Well, no. It just was you're so consumed with it. And there's people yelling at you from outside the house. It was just It was just crazy. That enduro was definitely my favorite. I think we're gonna go over. I'm gonna take my oldest boy Max. We're gonna do the family enduro for sure, and try to grab some Toledo Trail Rider guys and bring them with me. But that's a fun enduro.
The Saturday event is just so much fun for anybody that wants to go trail riding. It's I've always said that an event is way safer than going trail riding, because somebody's gone through, marked everything, knocked all the stuff out of the way, and everybody's going the same direction. Where you go trail riding, people are just riding all different directions and stuff, and for $20, you line up and you can go whatever speed you want to go. I mean, it's a lot of fun. We get a really good turnout for it. The club goes through a lot of work to make sure everything's ready to go.
Well, there's been times over the years that I've raced Roselawn and it's really muddy, but when it's a nice spring day, it's 50, 60 degrees. You get that get a little moisture in there the week before the event. That dirt over there is just beautiful dirt. I mean, it's unbelievable. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, we've had some races where it poured buckets just before the riders meeting, and you're walking in water, and by the end of the day, there's dust in the fields.
Yep,
it was pretty cool. Dries out real fast down there.
When is
really nice?
Do you know that date offhand by chance?
Well, I'm gonna guess it's April 17th, 18th, somewhere around there.
Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely be over for that.
Yeah, 17th and 18th.
What's the I see a couple of notes here. What's the FRP Racing products?
That's a company that I don't know. I never start anything. It just happens. It started with bark busters or handguards, whatever you want to call them, and it's like I can build a better mouse trap and it won't cost as much and all that kind of stuff, and that's what got it started. Basically, I made some handguards and made a small batch of 25 of them, and they went away real quick. And then I put a little ad in the magazines, and it's like, whoa, now they know how to get a hold of me, and that all just evolved into a bunch of KDX questions. How do I get this for my KDX? And then I started stocking parts for KDXs and still do. It's the biggest, one of the biggest parts of my business right now is keeping old KDXs going. And with all these people sitting at home and, got to find something to do. I mean, there's been a lot of them come to resurrection there. So how do
I find you if I need some parts from my KDX?
Well, you probably just look up my name, number one, or you can go to, you look up KDX, you find me that way, or you can go to frpoffroad.com and that gets us right to where we need to go.
Oh,
cool. Yeah. Well, it's certainly, you're doing a lot of stuff with the ice, tires. Is that right?
Yeah. This time of year, it starts about the, end of September, first part of October, and after like the end of October, it's just wide open building tires.
So you're pretty much doing that right now. The FRP stuff sounds like, because I think you and I talked about a month ago or a couple weeks ago, and it sounded like you were just slam-boozled with business.
Oh, yeah.
What's your future hold? I know you're not racing, but you're going to do any trail riding, going to do some ice racing, it sounds like, but
yep.
What's your future plans? You going to Vintage Days this year if they have it?
If they have it, there's a lot of things, if they have it, and it's going to be a problem when things start breaking loose. I've already got 2 plans for, we're into this old car rallying and stuff, and we got a rally out in Delaware, and then we got another project going on, and they're both on the same date. So, that's going to be a big problem when all this stuff starts taking place again. That, stuff's going to overlap, and, you're going to go from not having anything to do to 2 or 3 things to pick from on one given weekend, So, as far as riding goes, I mean, Vintage Days, the local Roselawn Enduro and stuff like that, and a lot of other fun stuff in between.
Cool. Well, I certainly, I hope my boys, Jeff, you've met my boys.
Oh yeah. Yep.
They love Vintage Days. I mean, they were in tears when I told them it was,
To go home.
well, yeah, to not only go home,
Oh, okay.
but
Right.
this past in 2020 when it was canceled because of the COVID thing,
Right.
or postponed. I actually don't think I don't think they officially canceled the event. They just didn't say, I don't think they said anything about it, but it was kind of a, everybody kind of knew what was happening. But but yeah, they were just all upset, distraught, because they love it. I mean, they talk about hanging out with you, and it's kind of like the band kind of gets back together again, and that's a really fun event. That's awesome down there.
Yep.
Well, it's always a good time too. When we have it, we want to thank all of our sponsors that we have too. Is there anybody out there that you'd like to give some thanks to, or give a shout out to? That we it helps us make it through, that got you out of that Volkswagen Beetle and got you in a pickup truck?
Well, a lot of those sponsors have gone by the wayside. It's like outgrew them, or too old and slow and stuff. I mean, Moose is the only one that keeps me going yet. I mean, I still give them a plug and stuff when I can. I mean, they're a really good company, build some really good stuff and that, and other than that, it's they keep us going. I mean, back on the 6-day stuff, the Spectro guys at Spectro lubricants and stuff. I mean, they do a killer job at keeping us, clean and lube, all the lubes and cleaners and stuff for 6 days. I mean, they're really behind the sport. They really look forward to helping us out every year, and we look forward to their support every year as well.
Yeah, I'd say that's really what really helps a lot of us guys too. Get out there trying to race. So there's a lot of good sponsors, and being that said, again, championship. I know for us personally, they've helped. My kids and myself and my grandkids and stuff as we've rode. So we always want to give a good shout out to those guys that all help us and have helped the sport. It sort of slowed down for a while, and now it's sort of coming back as far as what we're seeing a little bit in the motocross side of life. And then, of course, the off-road stuff. I don't know if the off-road stuff ever really slowed down much, but it is good. And we surely thank all the sponsors that it's out there that sort of got the sport back up and going again.
Yep, absolutely. I think once everything kind of like, opens up, if you will, I think, the sky's the limit, for the racing stuff. And I mean, it already was. The GNCCs were going. Looks like the 6 days is back in the saddle again. I saw something come across the email. Are you going to that this year too, Jeff? Or what's your, to help with the container?
It's the dates on there and all that stuff, and I mean, it all evolves around this stupid stuff we got going on. I mean, if it's safe to travel, countries will go. But I mean, as it is right now, I mean, it's not safe to really travel. So it's, we're kind of in the same boat we were last year. Once it's like, well, how much we got to get, clipped and that, and not be able to do stuff. Where last year they made a lot of drastic, don't leave the house, type stuff. So this year, I mean, everybody's waiting to go somewhere, so, depending upon whether or not enough countries can jump through the hoops to get there, I mean, I think it would be the determining factor in whether or not we're going to get to go.
Right. Where is it this year? Is it not Spain?
Back in Italy again.
Okay. Is it in the fall?
No, it's actually end of August, 1st of September.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Really early.
Yeah, that seems earlier than normal.
Yes.
Gotcha.
But we've been down in southern countries and stuff. I mean, those are always late October, November type races and stuff. And even last year, the last one we had in Portugal and stuff was fairly late for us too.
Right. Well, certainly, we're going to kind of wrap up here and conclude the podcast. But Marty, do you have anything left for Jeff before we close it out?
Yeah, we want to thank Jeff. This COVID thing happening, we would have loved to have him sitting here next to us instead of sort of working through their TVs and all of our Zoom stuff. And we appreciate you bearing with us with our little hiccups we had today. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I think it must be too cold. I'm going to blame it on the cold. That nothing seemed to want to work right today.
It's only 5 degrees out, so
it's going to be -8 tomorrow. But
yes,
thanks again, Jeff, for bearing with us. We started, and like say, we wish we could have had you here hanging out with us, and being able to be right here. Been always good. Maybe we'll get a chance if he comes our way. We'll be able to get a chance to have you come over and hang out a little bit, and we'll do something else again live.
Yeah. I got a KLR 650 that doesn't know where to stop going. I mean, it likes to likes to go places.
We'll head east, and if you do, swinging over here, and be glad to get you in the studio here. That'd be cool.
Cool.
But as we wrap up, we want to thank our show sponsor, Championship Power Sports, located in Wauseon, Ohio. They've got a special deal going for our podcast listeners. Not exactly sure what Jim's got cooking over there, but he told us, he said, just have him call and we'll work something out. He said, but mention the promo code Toledo Podcast. Again, mention Toledo Podcast when you give them a call at 419-335-8600. Also, you can check them out at championshippowersports.com. They also just want to make a mention. They've got the gas gases on the showroom. Yeah.
Going to have some trials bikes sometime soon, too, I thought he said.
Yes.
He's going to be getting some trials back, which is pretty cool because I haven't really seen trials out here much, but out west, when I was out west, we used to always every weekend go out and watch the trials out there. So
I've never done it. Actually, watched you, Jeff, do it down at Vintage Days, and that was a lot of fun. But Marty and I want to thank you for tuning in to Season 2, Episode 4. And again, thank you, Jeff Fredette, for joining us. If you're watching us on YouTube, please don't forget
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, no, thank you. Don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, and give us a like on Facebook. If you have any questions, comments, ideas, we want to hear from you. So send us an email at ToledoTrackandTrail@gmail.com. That's ToledoTrackandTrail@gmail.com. Until next time, we hope you and your family can get outside and enjoy the sport of motocross and off-road racing and riding. Stay on the track and trail wherever you are and be good stewards of the sport that you love so much. On behalf of my co-host, Marty Wheeler, I'm Matt Bucher. We again thank you for tuning in to the Toledo Track and Trail Podcast. Stay safe, everyone.